So the NFL Combine just took place, and it changed everything for the Chiefs and how they're going to be strategizing for this draft. Let's talk about that. How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? How we doing, chat? Chiefs Kingdom. Let's talk some Chiefs football. Looks like the Combine was a little wild this weekend, Mike. A draft class that we thought was a little bit weak proved to be one of the most athletic draft classes of all time. And we saw some big-time winners and some big-time losers in this Combine that's really going to help or affect their draft stock. And we're going to talk about all that and much more. But before we get started, guys, do your boys a favor. Hit that like button. Get this out to more people. Also, share it out with your friends, family, other Chiefs fans, other NFL fans. And let's have a good time talking tonight. Before we get going, though, just want to shout out DraftKings for sponsoring tonight's live stream.
There is nothing like the rush of game day, and that's why we've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook to help you get started. If you love the thrill of live betting, DraftKings has got you covered. You can bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Simple as that. Just sign up using our promo code ACU. With DraftKings, the crown is yours.
That's right, y'all. If you don't have DraftKings, go download that bad boy and use the promo code ACU when you're signing up, so they'll know that we sent you their way. Mike, how'd you feel about this Combine, man? It just concluded up there in Indianapolis. It was pretty much defined by historic speed, unicorn athleticism in the trenches. And for the Chiefs, man, they find themselves in this unusual position of drafting at number 9 overall. And these results, they significantly narrowed their focus, I think, and also opened some doors for different scenarios. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I thought this draft class showed that they're athletic. You mentioned that. I still don't think it makes the draft class any more special. I didn't see really anything that would cause me to move too many players around on my initial rankings going into it. We kind of just confirmed a lot of the things we've been talking about when we said Kenyon Sadiq was an athletic freak. He's going to tear up the Combine. He proved that. When we said certain wide receivers that we've been on for months, Omar Cooper Jr., you have Jeremy Bernard, you have different guys like that. They come in, they solidified what we've seen on film and maybe some things that people hadn't even paid attention to just yet. I think the one thing that stuck out to me is the running back class. Yes, Mike Washington Jr. Shocked everybody with that 4.33 being 220-something pounds. It's not that shocking. If you watched his film, he was explosive.
I've been trying to tell y'all.
He was fast. His vision is pretty good. He can make you miss. He's a one cut and go kind of back. Did it really move him around on my big board? Absolutely not. He's the number 4 running back for me, and he has been for the last month. Now, will he move him around on some people's? Absolutely. But for me, I just confirmed what I've seen, and I still don't think it's the greatest running back class I've ever seen. So there still could be Jeremiah Love's probably going top 10, guaranteed now, after he just showed some smooth athleticism. But again, was there anything different from what you've seen on film? That's what he looked like on film.
No, and I had him top 5 easy, and I think what he just did at the Combine kind of opened my eyes to he's even a crazier athlete than I thought. Right. Dare I say I might move him up to 2 or 3 on my big board, brother, because I think he could definitely give you as much as Jadarian Price and Jonah Coleman.
Right. He's number 2 on my big board. It's Caleb Downs. It is now going to be Jeremiah Love. And number 3, I'm still going to stick with Ruben Bain at 3. And then Fernando Mendoza, I'm going to go ahead and keep him at number 4. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't like putting Fernando Mendoza that high. I think he's got a lot of potential to be a bust, especially going to the Raiders possibly. But he's going to get drafted high, so I think you got to stay accurate. You got to keep him up there and look at it as if I was recruiting every single person here. So for me, I mean, you can still have Jadarian Price, Jonah Coleman, and now I think Mike Washington comes into that mix now. I thought Seth McGowan done a lot for his draft stock out of UK, previously played at Oklahoma, had some character issues, went to prison actually. So you've got a few things going. I don't think it's still a great running back draft class. I just don't. There's specific traits that I do like. I think if you want a running back and you want almost a can't miss kind of guy, it's got to be Jeremiah Love or nobody. The rest of them have so many problems that yes, they could look good in certain aspects, but I don't know if they're a complete back like Jeremiah Love is.
Well, I will say for my boy Mike Washington Jr., he doesn't have a troubled background. He actually has he had a rough upbringing, but he's a good kid with a lot of grit, been through a lot of stuff. He's a hard worker, and he is, this was put out by Raz themselves, he could potentially have a 10.00 Raz score, which would put him at the number 1 running back ever to be measured by the Raz score. Since 1982 or something like that. That's him over Saquon Barkley. That's him over Bijan Robinson. That's him over CMC. That's him over, you name it, Ashton Genty, Jeremiah Love. Just name any running back. He's more athletic than them. So right. I think that's really going to put a rocket up his butt and go straight up to the end of the first, second round, maybe, if a team wants to take a shot on a running back early. So we'll see. We'll see, man.
Look, sometimes RAS scores that get out of control. I've seen 10s on the RAS score that don't pan out in the NFL.
I don't know if I've ever seen a 10. I always see like 9.99, like Leo Chanel.
I want a good football player first and foremost. And I think Mike Washington Jr. is a good football player. Don't get me wrong. I just want good football players. Athleticism and stuff gets a little overlooked or gets a little overutilized at times to make up for shortcomings on film. And I think film is ultimately the main thing you got to go with.
But it also spikes guys up the draft board. I mean, we've seen it with Xavier Worthy. We've seen it in the past with John Ross. We've seen it with all these guys. And, you know, while we're talking about it, there's another guy here, Brennan Thompson, that's probably going to shoot up the board just because he ran a 4.26. So, I mean, this kind of stuff, to me, it doesn't make a big difference. It kind of like, it can make my guys move up or down just a little bit. But I feel like in the big scheme of things, there are teams that take shots on pure athleticism sometimes. And you see guys shoot up the board all the time that you don't think are that great just because they ran a certain 40 time or they scored this way or that way on some of these, you know, different things. So I don't know, man. It's very interesting. It opens up the doors for the Chiefs to kind of, you know, pick and choose different destinies because now, you know, there might be some people out there that think, well, do they really have to have Jeremiah Love? Like, I'm with you. I think Jeremiah Love's the obvious number 1 running back. And I think there's a massive gap between him and number 2. Right. But there might be some people now that are like, do we have to have him? Because we could take our edge rusher or whatever we want right here, and we might be able to get Mike Washington Jr. at pick 40 or later.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Mike Washington Jr. was a major winner.
100%.
Look, let's do some major winners and losers from the combine.
Let's do it.
And I think Mike Washington, I think he helped himself. I think he's a major winner. Let's go ahead and stick with running backs for right now.
Before we do it, go
ahead.
Let's hit this chat real quick. We got Can I Pet That Dog with the 2-bomb. Says, I'm now convinced we're trading down. I think that's always been a major player, and I think it still could be. Appreciate the 2-bomb, brother. We got Doug, our boy Doug in the house. Been a member for 30 freaking months. Says, thanks to ACU for some of the best draft coverage and the greatest Chiefs channel out. Keep up the good work. Let's freaking go, Doug. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the gas, and thanks for being a member forever and a day. And we got Beach in the house with the 2-bomb. Says, I would be happy with Bailey, Sadiq, Love, or Fano. Let's go, Mike. Let's talk about some of these major winners. What do you got?
Yeah, so major winners. I want to stay with the running back class. Let's do that, and then we'll just kind of go down each of them. Mike Washington Jr. posting that 4.33 was just insane. I don't think anybody expected that. I kept telling people he's explosive. Watch it. It'll happen. It happened. Look, Jeremiah Love, he helped himself. I think he solidified what we've all seen on tape. Again, he just backed it up. He ran that 4.36. He was super fast. I think the one that helped himself the most out of all these is going to be, for me, Damon Claiborne out of Wake Forest. I think he showed that he could possibly be the most athletic, agile. He's going to be a third down.
He's the shiftiest
back.
For sure.
Yeah, he's shifty. Now, the thing is, he's not very big. When you watch his film out of Wake Forest, he's just not very big. He's 5'10", 188. He's not going to be no bigger than Brashard Smith. So don't get any ideas saying that the Chiefs need to draft him.
What? You don't want another one?
Oh, No, sorry. I just heard some music in the background, and I realized one of my web pages I had open was doing some kind of a Geico commercial, and I was like, when did we get sponsored by Geico all of a sudden? But yeah, Damon Claiborne, I was trying to get his exact measurements, and it brought up that ad. So 5'10", 188. But like you said, I think he ranked third in both athleticism score for running backs. 10-2 broad jump, 159, 10-yard split, and a 4.37. He is going to be a nice, he's a third down kind of guy, but he's just not big enough to play in the NFL consistently, just like Brashard Smith. They didn't want to let him get a lot of carries last year. It would be nicer for these guys to get to that 200 to 205 range.
Yeah. As far as the running backs go, man, I think the obvious winner there was Mike Washington. We already talked about that. I think Jeremiah Love was a huge winner there, running the 4.36. He kind of solidified that he is the blue chip running back in this draft, and there's a massive gap. He looked very natural in his receiver drills, and he checked every box for a high volume NFL starter. He just did, and I think everybody, they're drooling over Jeremiah Love a little bit, and rightfully so. I mean, he looks like one of the best running back prospects, in just like Ashton Genty and just like Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley and all these guys.
Yeah.
He's right up there with them. So as far as losers in the running back room, let's talk about that for a second, because I think I saw one that I considered a major loser, and that is running back Emmett Johnson from Nebraska.
He's my loser as well.
Yeah,
I think he killed himself this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the production doesn't lie. The kid can play football. He had a monster season for Nebraska last year, but at 202 pounds, Johnson needed to show some speed. He needed to show some speed, and he didn't. Instead, he ran a 4.56 40, the slowest among the top tested running backs, raising questions about his explosive ceiling, and I think rightfully so. I also thought in a lot of the other drills, Mike, he didn't look that smooth. He didn't look that fluid. And I think that Emmett Johnson was definitely a loser at this combine. He could have probably done himself some good just sitting it out.
Yeah, Emmett Johnson, here's what he did. Emmett Johnson confirmed to me exactly what I seen on film. Again, is that going to move down Emmett Johnson for me? Probably not. He's still going to be one of my top 5 running backs on the board. But there's a couple things you want to watch when you're scouting running backs. Number one, and this kind of goes for everybody, you want to see, do these guys have 1 year production or do they have multiple years of production? And Emmett Johnson has basically only had 1 good year of production. So that scares you just a little bit. And then number two, when you're looking at Emmett Johnson, I was looking at certain things in his game, and I think that it got proven yesterday. So whereas he's got good footwork and he makes sudden, sharp decisions, and he's got decently sharp cuts and good vision in the hole, he can make you miss. But I seen that he was more quick than fast. His top speed, I actually wrote this, top speed does not blow me away. He can get caught from behind. And the Chiefs and all the Chiefs fans are wanting guys that can get in, make a cut, take it to the house, chunk off 20 and 30-yard runs. They want explosive plays. And this guy, although he's got good vision and he's quick, he's going to make you miss. He's also not going to chunk off many huge plays in the NFL, I don't think. I cannot see him going, on those big chunk plays everybody's wanting. And then another thing for me that scared me about Emmett Johnson is because he does get caught like that a lot. If you actually look at some of his film, he's got some of the worst yards after contact. I want to say the average, you want to be over 4 yards. From first contact, you want to go 4 more yards average. You can live with 3. He is in the lowest category out of almost every running back here. He has under 2.8 yards of yak. So once he gets first contact, he basically goes down. So he doesn't give you a lot of fighting for yardage, and he can't pull away. That's what's always scared me, and he kind of confirmed that yesterday.
Right, but with the 4.56 40 and then just his complete lack of fluidity and the 3-cone drill and some of the other things I saw, Mike, I think it just has a lot of scouts questioning, does his tape speed, is that going to translate to the NFL? Because I don't know if it will. We'll see.
Again, his tape speed wasn't much. It was more quick than fast.
Exactly. So let's stick on the running backs here. I think another loser to me might be Jadarian Price, to be quite honest about it, because his teammate Jeremiah Love was out there, shocking and awing everybody and thrived. I thought Price kind of struggled, man. He's far below the elite threshold that teams look for in a feature back. He just is. He's not somebody they're going to want to come in here and be a feature back. His testing suggests he may be more of a rotational guy than a primary starter in the NFL, and that's all I saw out of him during the combine. Now, I love his tape, and I think that he has potential. And I'm not saying that he can't do what I just said, but I think the likelihood of him being a feature back in the NFL is much lower. Like, I would definitely take the over on him being a rotational piece.
Yeah, I thought his 1.61, which was dead last behind Robert Henry, or just right above Robert Henry. Robert Henry was last out of Texas San Antonio. He had a 1.61 10-yard split. So that means he's going to have trouble getting out and getting that initial burst. I think in the NFL, the holes close so much quicker than they do in college. So that scares me a little bit. Now, he does have pretty good long speed. I will say, Jadarian Price, he didn't run super, super fast. Like, if you look at the whole thing, he runs 4 from the bottom. But he did get in the 4.4s. He got 4.49. So he's right there at that 4.49, 4.5. You don't always have to be a 4.3 guy to be a great, productive running back in the NFL.
Right.
That's just not true.
Right.
But you want to see shortcomings erased by certain things. And Jadarian Price has that one-cut ability. He can go. He offers you tons of special teams abilities. There's still a lot of things Jadarian Price could do. I'm with you, though. I expected him to test just a little bit better. I was looking for like 4.45. I was looking for like a 1.5 10-yard split. And then if you look at his vert, he was third from the bottom, only 35-inch vert. That means that goes to explosiveness. His broad jump, that goes to explosiveness, and he wasn't he actually did a little bit better there, I will say. He had a 10 feet 4-inch or 10 feet 5 inch is what he had there. So he was a little better the broad, but the vert, he was a little low end, different things. He didn't do the 3-cone drill. Actually, the only 3-cone drill was Emmett Johnson. So props to Emmett Johnson, I guess, for doing that. But he did run a 7.3, which puts him in a lower percentile. And then the 20-yard shuttle, Jadarian Price didn't do either. Emmett Johnson actually led the 20-yard shuttle out of the 4 people that ran it. He had a 4.29. So I guess that does go back again to Emmett Johnson, more quick than fast, straight line speed. So he kind of just confirmed it. And I'm with you. I think Jadarian Price kind of hurt himself a little bit. I thought there's one other guy that kind of hurt himself a little bit for me. It was Jamari Taylor out of Virginia. I thought he was going to come in and be a little bit more explosive than he showed, but he kind of had a bad day too.
Right. I will add one thing to you. You said Damon Claiborne was a winner, and I kind of agree with you because of the 4.37 speed. But I think he also got hurt when they measured some of his stuff because he's in the 2nd percentile of BMI, brother. This kid is lean.
Well, I already said that. He's too little.
Right, he's tiny.
A third down back only.
I mean, exactly. Well, it's even, just historically, backs with that frame, they struggle. They're not going to have any kind of big NFL workload. And he's pretty much just going to be a gadget player. End of story. So I think in a way.
Is he not Brashard Smith? Like just made over?
Maybe. I feel like he might even be.
What did he officially weigh in at?
I don't know. But he's just really tiny. Shout out Michael with a $5 Canadian, baby. Says, I'm trading 9 for pick 1644 in the 5th round. They stole from me for Derek Nottie. I like it. I don't know why they would ever trade something for Derek Nottie, but
yeah,
I think the trade back scenario is huge.
Right. Claiborne, he came in 5'10", 188. Brashard Smith was 5'10", 194. So Brashard Smith had him by about 5 pounds.
Okay.
So again, Brashard Smith's too small. We seen that last year. They didn't want to play him. They wanted him to put on weight. Damon Claiborne, same. But the Chiefs have met with Damon Claiborne. Why? No idea. The Chiefs live in their own fantasy bubble when it comes to certain running backs and wide receivers.
Yeah.
They want the smallest of the small, and then they refuse to play them because they're too small. Make it make sense.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about some more winners from the draft, Mike. Preferably people in positions of need for the Chiefs. So I'll start with one major one that everybody knows, and you're going to be right there with me. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from Oregon. Pretty much just an undisputed king of the combine, him and Sonny Styles probably. But Sadiq set an all-time record for tight ends with a 100 SPORQ athleticism score. He ran a blistering 4.39 40-yard dash and posted an 11-foot 1-inch broad jump. He's now firmly in the round 1 conversation as a Travis Kelce successor. So there's a lot of people that think Kenyon Sadiq did so well and tested so well that now they don't think that he could just come into the Kansas City Chiefs and replace Travis Kelce by being a back end of the first round pick if they were to trade down. But they think they could take him at 9. And that is wild, brother. That is wild.
Look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. He's one of the 10 best players in this draft based off metrics, based off potential, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the top 10, top 15 for me. If you took him at number 9, is it feel a little rich right now? Absolutely. Feels a little rich. But again, 5 years down the road, it may be the greatest pick you ever had. Who knows? So you just don't know. I'm not arguing with each of them. If they took him at 9, I think a lot of people would freak out, but I think there'd be a lot of people who'd be fine with it, and I think he could do it. I thought he was a big winner. That 4.39, that 10-yard split was a 1.54. He was super just athletic. He come in second in the broad jump, second in the vert, a 43.5-inch vert. If there was one other guy that was right there with him that confirmed it, it was Eli Stowers.
Eli Stowers, baby. Let's go.
And he come in, look, Eli Stowers ran a 4.5, so that's pretty quick. That's faster than Kelce was coming out of college. He ran a 1.59 10-yard split. I'm almost positive that was about as fast as Kelce or faster. But he also had the highest vert and the highest broad, which means he is explosive. Right. He can get up and he can get up high. So if you throw the ball up, he's going to out jump people and he's going to come down with it. I thought those two were the big standout guys in the tight end room.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was maybe a few others you can make a case for. John Michael Gillenborg, your guy, he had a pretty good day. I thought Eli Raridan, Sam Roush had a pretty good day all around. But, yeah, I think those two are the ones that stole the show for me.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for Sadiq, everybody'd be talking about Eli Stowers as being a generational tester in the tight end room, right?
Yeah.
I mean, by the same athletic score, the SPORQ, he had a 99 to Sadiq's 100. And like you said, he had a 135-inch broad jump, which is the best of all the tight ends.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really like him. That's two options the Chiefs have now to look at that could be big-time players to be a successor for Travis Kelce. Let's move it along to a different position, man.
Did you have any losers at tight end, though, before we do that?
Not really. I don't think anybody really killed themselves or anything, so...
No, I didn't see tons and tons and tons of losers. I would say one guy that maybe didn't perform as well as a lot of people thought he should have, Tanner Koziol. He kind of showed me what he did on film. He was very average getting off the ball, slow. He lugs a little bit. He just doesn't look as smooth as I think I would like my tight end. He looks like Kelce when Kelce was 34. He don't look like Kelce when Kelce was drafted, and that's a reason I've been kind of leery of Koziol a little bit. He kind of proved it yesterday. It kind of looks like he's always running in quicksand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that this is a very strong tight end draft class to begin with. So I
don't either.
You know, but yeah, let's move it along a little bit. We'll go wide receiver because people want to talk about receivers always with the Chiefs, and that's still something that they need to maybe address. So. I mentioned Brennan Thompson already, wide receiver from Mississippi State. I think he's a major winner just because he set the turf on fire with the 4.26 40-yard dash, fastest of this year. You know, while he didn't break Xavier Worthy's 4.21 record or anything, he still proved that he's a premier deep threat in this class. And speed kills. And people draft off of speed. I mentioned it earlier. John Ross, right. Xavier Worthy. They've always done this type of thing. I think it was Jalen Hyatt got drafted a little above where he should have because of his speed. And now you're looking at Brennan Thompson. I think is going to make his way up the board. Somebody will take a shot. I wouldn't be surprised to see him overdrafted. So I think he was like a major winner as far as the wide receivers go. And I think another one that I'll throw out there too was Casey Concepcion. I think he looked really good in the combine. I thought his gauntlet was as smooth as could be. I think, you know, the kid, he has a, I don't know if you guys watch his interviews, but he caught a lot of flack on social media because he has a stutter. And that's just because people suck. But I thought the kid was, answering questions great. And he said, well, that sounds pretty good to have KC and KC, baby. So I think he likes the idea of coming to Kansas City. I thought he had a pretty good day too, man. So I would give those two as my winners that stick out to me a lot. And then we can talk about some losers too. I think I got one particular in mind, but you go ahead.
Right. I like KC Concepcion. I like to call him KC Recepcion because he going to catch the ball. Look, his hands his hands is like the major thing for me, and I think he maybe had a drop or two at some point yesterday. I'm not for sure. But I mean, look, he's fine. I think for me, some big winners. There's a few big winners here. I think number one for me in the wide receiver group, I thought the way he ran, I thought Chris Brazel out of Tennessee running a 4.37 is huge. He tied Malik Benson out of Oregon, who's a Kansas City kid. He's a Kansas kid. Those two I thought ran really well. I thought Omar Cooper Jr., when he first ran, he got like a 4.48, 4.49. I said, look, that's all you had to do. He has now submitted himself as a early second-round pick. He comes back out and runs a 4.42. Omar Cooper Jr., look, he may not be number one on anybody's draft board, okay? But if you put him number one, I don't know if I'd argue it at this point. He just keeps proving that he is a good football player, a good route runner. Now he's proved he's fast. So I thought Omar Cooper Jr. done a lot for himself.
Yeah, he's a monster anyway.
Yeah, I thought Jeremy Bernard had a good day. Him running a 4.48. Bernard, also out of Alabama, proved that he's a perfect mix. Like I've been saying, of Rashee Rice and Juju. He can do all the dirty work and everything else. He was the number one guy in the three-cone running a 6.71, which is a good to elite. He just looked pretty good yesterday, and I think a lot of people's overlooked Jeremy Bernard a lot. I don't know why. He ran a 4.31 in the 20-yard shuttle. So, look, he gets off the ball pretty quickly. His 10-yard split was right up there with some of the better ones. So I think he done everything he needed to do. I thought Jeremy Bernard, I thought Omar Cooper Jr. backed it up. If I had to say there was one guy that just surprised the hell out of me, would have maybe been Jeff Caldwell out of
with
Cincinnati.
that 40 time.
Yeah, that dude's like 6'6". He ran a 4.31. Like, you're talking about Brendan Thompson and Xavier Thomas and Deion Burks, all these little guys running 4.26, 4.28, 4.3. Caldwell runs like a 4.31, dude. He's like 6'6". But look, I don't think he's the best wide receiver even on Cincinnati. I don't think it's going to help his draft stock because he don't have a lot of good film. Somebody might take a shot on him like mid to late day 3, but I don't think he helped himself no more than just kind of putting himself on the map. So that's what I'll say. I say the bigger winners were the two I named earlier, Bernard and Cooper. I thought both of them solidified themselves as, at latest, a mid-second round pick.
No, I mean, Cooper to me, like, it didn't change much for me because we already thought Cooper was a dog. So, but I could definitely see what you're saying there. No real major losers to me in the wide receiver room. But I think that some people kind of maybe stuck a red flag beside Mekhi Lemon's name after this weekend.
Because of his interviews, right?
Yeah, it's like, it's not that how he answered things, it's his demeanor, it's the way he acts, and I think that it puts a little red flag there. Like, are you getting yourself into a or you could say AJ Brown, but Antonio Brown situation? Are you getting yourself into a George Pickens situation? Are you getting yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like, is this kid, what's he like mentally? Like, something's a little odd about this guy. Now, I will say that his drills that he did run, he did well. I thought he looked really good in the gauntlet, maybe one of the smoothest ones. I love Mekhi Lemon. I love his tape. I think that he's a fantastic player, and I've said that, you know, the whole time, like, when I watch his tape, I think he can hang right there with Carnell Tate and with Jordan Tyson. Like, he is maybe the best receiver in the draft if you just go by pure tape. But, yeah, man, I thought that was a little odd, dude. I don't know if people like that.
Yeah. I think I'll put a little asterisk by him because it was a little strange. Do I think it hurts him in the football category? No, it shouldn't. He's still going to be, you know, he's still a top 3 guy.
You got to watch these guys, though, man. I feel like, you know, where you're at mentally and how you act and the way you present yourself goes a long way. And, I mean, we've been, you know, we take chances on players sometimes, and it backfires.
Rashee Rice situation for sure.
Right.
I'm with you. I don't think a lot of people hurt themselves. There was one other kind of winner for me I kind of want to touch on. I forgot about him, and I think he deserves to be talked about. I thought Jacoby Lane out of USC. For everything people think about Lemon, Jacoby Lane was kind of one of those guys that was on the fence for me. And he actually ran a 4.47, and I thought he looked really smooth in some of his drills.
Yeah, I like him.
So I thought he looked okay. And for me, Jacoby Lane's going to move up. He was one of the few guys that I watched the combine, and he changed my perception a little bit. And so that's why I want to give him a shout out. A guy that I thought people were being unfair to, there was 2, and they were both ex-wide receivers, basically. One was Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame. Look, he's a chain mover. He is a big X receiver. He is not going to be known as a deep threat speedster. So when he ran a 4.61, that's what I expected him to run. He wins at the catch point. He doesn't win with speed. And then there's another guy that people were down on, Carnell Tate. How can you say he's a top receiver in this class? How can he be top 3 when he runs a 4.53? Guys, Carnell Tate, what did you expect Carnell Tate to run, bro? If you watched his film, 4.5 was right where I expected him to run. Like, he's not a speedster. He is a guy that's going to get open, run good routes, produce with the ball in his hand, go win 50-50 balls, extend the field. There's just a lot of good wide receivers that run 4.5s.
You have to remember the Jerry Rice lesson. You have to remember the Puka Nacua lesson. It's not all about who can run the fastest. I mean, that's one part of the game.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, it really doesn't amount to anything if they are not a good receiver.
Dude, it was so bad that they're saying that teams were clocking them in the 4.46s with their hand timers and this and that. And it's like they're trying to do damage control because people are bitching and moaning.
Who cares, dude? Rasheed Rice ran a 4.5, and that kid looks fast on the football field.
Dude, it wasn't. I thought he ran exactly what I thought he was going to run. I don't know what people expected him. Like, he's not going to be Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, and Jay Brown said it in the chat, CeeDee Lamb ran a 4.5.
Exactly.
There's just all kinds of good receivers
George
that run
Pickens,
a 4.5.
I think, ran that, didn't he?
I think he was in the 4.4 range, but I mean, it just is what it is, dude. It's not all about a speed. It's not a track race.
But why is 4.5? I mean, look,
it's still not slow.
4,
That's what's funny.
4.4 is the blink of an eye. It's literally this.
Mike, 4.5 and 4.2 is literally almost a blink.
Exactly.
You know, and people just get too much into it.
Exactly.
Let's talk about another position of need for the Chiefs, the edge rushers. Let's talk about that a little bit. Did you see anybody that really stuck out to you as a major winner in the edge rusher category? I don't know if I did, to be quite honest about it, and think anybody like really wowed me that much with just the drills and everything. But I do think that Ruben Bain, we might see a slide from Bain somewhat just because of what we already knew. The guy has dinosaur arms.
Yeah, everybody freaked out.
And now they're talking about him sliding, but I mean, that's not a bad thing for the Chiefs being at number 9. So I don't really care. But who did you like?
Well, I thought David Bailey done a lot for himself.
Well, of course, David Bailey, yeah.
But David Bailey also just confirmed again what we already seen on film. He's fast.
Yeah, yeah.
But he didn't prove to anybody he can now take on a double team and set an edge. Okay? And I get that you might not want that, but to be in the NFL, you do have to have that a little bit because we're seeing the running game start to take over the passing game and more teams are starting to play smash mouth football again. You're starting to see a shift. In the NFL. We've seen it. We're asking for it. People are asking for the Chiefs to take the air out of the ball and run the ball more.
Right.
Like, think about that. The Patrick Mahomes era. Did you ever think that people would be
begging for a run game?
Yeah, begging for a running back in the top 10 and wanting a run game.
Yeah.
But you realize it all works together. Here's a guy that I thought stuck out for me. There was 2. I thought Malachi Lawrence out of UCF actually helped himself a lot. He's a guy now that I think is going to get second-round looks and at worst a third-round look. He had a lot of production at UCF. I thought he was pretty good getting after the quarterback, and I think he can actually play the run pretty well. He ran a 4.52. He looked pretty good in a lot of things. So I think Malachi Lawrence is one. And actually a guy that the Chiefs actually looked at from Penn State, Danny Dennis Sutton, I thought done a really good job this week. I think he is going to slide up the boards. Because on film, I thought he looked slow and sluggish. Then he gets out there and he proves that he's maybe not that bad. He ends up running a 4.6, which is pretty good. His 10-yard split wasn't too bad. I think his 10-yard split was right around 1.63. So he stayed right at the top of all of them. There was only 4 guys that got off the line faster than him.
Right.
Or actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 guys got off the line faster. And, I mean, listen to him. Cassius Howe, Arvell Reese, Malachi Lawrence, T.J. Parker, David Bailey. I mean, come on. These are guys that are supposed to get off the line quick, right? That's what they do.
Right.
But Danny Dennis Sutton is not just a speed rusher. He can set the edge. So that impressed me a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think if we're still sticking on the edge rushers a little bit, you mentioned them briefly, but I think that Arvell Reese was a big-time winner too because he tested very elite right there alongside David Bailey. So I think people are really excited on those two. And granted, those guys are probably going to be outside linebackers in a 3-4 defense. I'd almost guarantee it.
Yeah, look, shout out Malachi Lawrence, a 40-inch vertical, and Danny Dennis Sutton was a 39.5-inch vertical. In the broad, Danny Dennis Sutton from Penn State, 10 foot 11 inches was number one. Number two was Malachi Lawrence at 10'10". So shout out those dudes. They performed so well for me. And look, only 3 players did the bench press. And the number one guy at 30 reps was my boy Gabe Backus out of Illinois. So I'll say that I feel like you know, the people we were telling people and putting people onto kind of went out and performed a little bit. Surprise, surprise. I'm
Got a little bit of validation with this combine, I feel like. Absolutely.
Big time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk about a couple other positions real quick for the Chiefs. But before we do that, guys, do us a favor. Hit the like button if you haven't already. If you're not subscribed to the channel, do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hang out with us more often. Get in the chat if you don't get in the chat. We got great people here. But, yeah, all that good stuff. Shout out DraftKings. Shout out Zarda Barbecue.
Yeah. Steve, Is This Real Life says Cardinal Tate running a 4.5 was kind of a letdown. This is what I keep seeing. Why? Look, I want to know what you've seen on film from Cardinal Tate at Ohio State that led you to believe that a guy of his size was going to be faster than a 4.5.
Yeah, see, I don't know. That's the thing. I think a lot of people, when they think receiver, their brain automatic, since Tyreek Hill, especially if they're Chiefs fans or something like that, it's like their brain automatically goes to speed with a wide receiver. And you know what? The best receivers in this league are not 4.2 guys. They're not 4.3 guys.
They're usually not. Yeah. I just don't know why Cardinal Tate, like, does it make a big difference at the end of the day? Do you feel so much better if Cardinal Tate run a 4.53 or you run a 4.49? Like, really?
It wouldn't really change anything for me.
So he hits 4.49, but miraculously he's like better.
I can't go with that either.
I can't do it.
Well, let's touch on linebacker for just a second. I think the only one that really like stole the show was Sonny Styles. Like that guy, everybody, you know, people knew he was good, but I mean, he's massive. He's 6'4", 235 pounds. He ran a 4.46. Versatility. He can play off-ball linebacker. He kind of has like safety aspects about his game too. Like I feel like he's not really a tweener, but I feel like he could be. He could be like a massive one. He's just so athletic, dude. So Sonny Styles kind of stuck out at the linebacker position. I think, was it Lander Barton? Is that the kid's name?
Yeah, I think so.
He kind of helped himself some this weekend. I know a lot of people were talking about him. But, I mean, I don't really think the Chiefs are a big-time player in linebacker. Now, they could be if they don't bring back Leo Chanel, which a lot of people are reporting rumors that he's moved out of Kansas City and that they're not going to sign him back. And I really hope they do, though, because Leo is a dog. Yeah. But let's talk about cornerback. Let's talk about offensive line real quick, because that's also some areas the Chiefs might look at. We'll start with cornerback. I don't think any of the cornerbacks like stuck out to me as far as just really helping themselves or changing anything that I previously thought. Now, I do think Jermod McCoy hurt himself by not participating in anything.
But was he medically cleared to do so, though?
It doesn't matter, regardless, because, you know, him not being there, you had a lot of other defensive backs showing up and showing out, and he's just not. You know what I'm saying? Now, I think the major defensive backs that really helped themselves was Caleb Downs and Dylan Thieneman, which are a different position. But I'm just saying, in the secondary ranks, dude, he didn't do anything to help himself. So I think Jermod McCoy might be a little bit of a loser to me.
He was medically cleared. It said that he's medically cleared. He was physically capable of participating, but he decided not to perform on-field drills or athletic testing.
Yeah, and I think that hurt him a little bit. I think that you could see guys like Mansour Delaney and Brandon Cisse and all of them kind of overtake him. Yeah, very possible. So that's where I'm at with that. And then as far as the offensive line goes, then I'll let you talk about the cornerbacks and offensive line. But offensive line, I think that Francis Mayagoa, like if you don't get him at 9, you're not going to get him. I think Spencer Fano, he kind of has he has the Reuben Bain element where he has T-Rex arms. So I think that he's going to slide a little bit, but that's really all I noticed. I do think Jennings Dunker helped himself by looking like Andy Reid from 40 years ago, out there with his red mullet and his stash.
Right.
Yeah, but what did you see with the cornerbacks? I know Lorenzo Styles, which is Sonny Styles' brother, he helped himself because he ran a 4.28 or 4.27, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's just got a lot of speed. But, I mean, He doesn't wow people on tape. He's not a very big guy. But, I mean, he did help himself. What else did you see?
I thought there was two guys that did pretty well. I thought Dylan Everett out of Georgia, he looked slower on film than I seen, but he actually ran a 4.38. I thought that was pretty quick. His 10-yard split was a 1.54. He finished third because Malik Muhammad and Toriano Pride, who had a monstrous 40, they both had a 1.51. So I thought Dylan Everett done pretty well. Like, I'm now convinced that possibly he could maybe go late first or in the second round, whereas I was thinking he was maybe a third round kind of guy. Chris Johnson out of San Diego State, I thought looked pretty good, which I've liked Chris Johnson. He's been a top 10 corner for me so far. I think he excels more in zone looks than he does in man-to-man looks. So, look, could we draft him for that purpose? Maybe. Spags has been trying to run more zone. Who knows? But I thought Chris Johnson done himself some favors. And then lastly, I think I was validated yet again on another guy, Charles Demings, out of Stephen F. Austin, who ran a 1.55 10-yard split, which finished him fourth. And his 40-yard dash time was a top 5 40 time at a 4.41. So I feel like when you mix that with his vertical at 42 inches, his broad jump at 11 feet, which he finished second in both of those, I feel like I pretty much was putting people on to a guy named Charles Demings out of Stephen F. Austin before everybody kind of knew about the guy from Stephen F. Austin.
Yeah, I can vouch for you, brother. I can vouch for you. Our boy Shane in the house says, are the Chiefs scouting any safeties? They're going to have to be if they're not planning on getting Cook back. So, I mean, if you see Caleb Downs fall down to number 9, they could take him in a heartbeat.
Dude,
and you couldn't be mad at it. You couldn't be mad at that. He's a top 3 player in this draft. Easy. So, yeah. You guys let us know in the comments, like, who impressed you this weekend at the Combine? Did anybody Shane with a 2-bomb on that, by the way. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Thanks for the support. But yeah, who impressed you? Who do you think moved themselves up the board? And are there any guys that you weren't paying attention to that you now are for the Chiefs because of the Combine? Let us know. Mike, one conversation I've seen some people having, and I just want to touch on it for a minute with you. Real quick, I do think that there was one other winner that we didn't talk about, and it's because they're quarterback. You mentioned him earlier a little bit, but
don't be talking about that kid out of Arkansas.
Taylon Green, baby. I think he helped himself a 4.36 40-yard dash. He's got wheels, but Mike, like you said, he's not the greatest thrower in the world. His passing drills were inconsistent, but his raw tools are now viewed as top tier project. Does anybody want to take that on?
If he was playing a little tight end or wide receiver, I'll think about it.
It's a possibility. They said the same thing about Lamar. So if somebody wants to take on that project, I think that he helped himself. But let's talk about this conversation that I wanted to bring up. And that is, now you have people talking about Jeremiah Love or Mike Washington Jr.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a case for both and for obvious reasons. But here's kind of the way I see it, and then I'll let you elaborate. But like, the case for Jeremiah Love is that he is one of the best players in this draft, period. Top 3. He's the only blue chip running back there is. I think his ability to line up in the slot and run advanced routes make him kind of an extension of the passing game on top of being an elite running back. Scouts have him compared to Jahmyr Gibbs, and that's who people were just drooling to get back when he was coming out. And, of course, the Lions took him early. 4.36 speed, a 90-plus next-gen stats production score. He's a generational safe play. If he's there at number 9, it's just like with Caleb Downs. You can't really pass on him. You almost have to do it. That's just what it is. Now, the case for Mike Washington Jr. that a lot of people are throwing out there, Mike, he represents a different strategic path for the Chiefs. They can get him in day 2. So that makes a big difference. The Chiefs could address other needs like edge rusher or tight end in the first round and still land a running back with 4.33 speed at 223 pounds.
Yeah.
This is a guy that, like I said, he could be the first perfect Raz score of running back since Raz started in the 80s. He tested higher than Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, Ashton Genty. You keep naming them, guys. Mike Washington Jr. tested better at them, at the combine than all of them. A 1.51 10-yard split indicates that he can hit a hole faster than any other back in the class. We've seen him on tape, Mike. He can impose his will in the interior. He's a big guy. He's got a violent temperament, and he's a perfect match for the Chiefs. Really, it's because it's like you already had someone that has some of those traits in Isaiah Pacheco, but now you're looking at a guy that's bigger and stronger and more polished and a better runner than Isaiah Pacheco with all the same traits that everybody loved about Isaiah Pacheco. So now could you go out and get Kenyon Sadiq in the first round? Or could you go out and get a Reuben Bain in the first round or something like that and then still get what could be an elite running back in the second or even the third if the running backs were to fall a little bit? I think that's the argument here. And I think that, to me, the final verdict, if you choose Jeremiah Love, you're getting a guaranteed 3-down starter that can take a game over from day one. You just are. Final verdict with Mike Washington. If you want to maximize your draft value, if you want a home run threat still, then you go get Mike Washington and you address another position early. I don't care either way they go. I feel like both are good routes. Jeremiah Love being the safe play.
Right. Look, it all starts with free agency. Free agency is going to kick off at March 11th. Are the Chiefs going to be able to make a play for a running back? A running back that's not just any running back, but a guy that can move the needle a little bit.
We'll even be there at 9-2. That's something I didn't mention.
Right. So you've got all that going. If you can't get somebody, you have to take a serious look at Jeremiah Love. You have to. He is I think he's going to be better than Genty. I really do. I think he's going to be a better running back than Genty when it's all said.
Potentially. Genty's more of the, breaking tackles left and right type dude.
Well, I don't care how he is. I think he's going to be better than Genty.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying I think he'll be better at the end of the day. I see him more along the lines. I think he is closer to Bijan Robinson than people give him credit for. I think I've seen that. He's smooth. That's
high praise, dude, because Bijan, I think, might have been a better prospect coming out than even Saquon.
I'm just saying he's closer
to
him than people give him credit for. I'm not saying he's better. I'm just saying
I'm just saying if you can put him in that same conversation, that's huge.
I think that now he does. He's borderline that tier of running back, in my opinion. I think he's there. He's proved it. Here's the thing I'll say. Jeremiah Love is the better guy. You would want Jeremiah Love over Mike Washington.
100%.
Obviously, at the end of the day, Mike Washington's not being talked about as a top 10 player. So, look, Mike Washington, could he slide into round 2? Absolutely. Somebody could fall in love with him and do it. Could he be in round 3? Absolutely.
Potentially.
That's about where he should be picked. Could he fall to round 4? Absolutely. Yet again, you could have a guy like Katron Allen that just stays above him.
If nobody bites on the pure athleticism.
Right. You could have a guy, Katron, Emmett Johnson. There could still be a team that likes Emmett Johnson more. There could still be a team that wants Nick Singleton or Seth McGowan. He doesn't, just because he run the fast 40 doesn't mean that he fits certain team styles. And so, yes, he could be there after pick 100. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people leave him out of their top 100 players on their draft boards. Even with him running a 4.33, I think that there will be a lot of players or a lot of people doing that. So I like the pick. Look, if you told me, yes, this is what it is. We're just not going to give all these weird scenarios. We're just going to say Sadiq you take Sadiq at number 9. It's crazy. Everybody's heads are exploding a little bit.
Right.
But then you pull Mike Washington in round 4.
Makes it sound better.
Does that sound as good as pulling Jeremiah Love and then in round 4 maybe, because you're not getting Eli Stowers in round 4, you're not getting guys like that. So does it sound better to have, say, Jeremiah Love and maybe team him up with the other kid from Notre Dame like Eli Raridan or, a Dallin Bentley out of Utah?
And also,
I don't know if that sounds as sexy as going the other way.
Where does defensive tackle fall into play? Because, maybe if you decide to go like the Mike Washington route, you could take a Kenyon Sadiq early, take a shot on that. You could turn around and get Gabe Akis or someone like that in the second round who I think could contribute from day one. And then you can turn around and get a Mike Washington or someone like that. So you're kind of hitting a lot of different needs. I think if you take Jeremiah Love early, you kind of tie your hands a bit, but it's the safer play. It makes more sense.
Well, here's my thing. Like, Kenyon Sadiq is the best tight end in the draft. Look, Eli Stowers can absolutely be a player for you. I do think there's guys that could contribute. Raritan, Bentley.
I think that Stowers could potentially end up being a better pro than Sadiq.
It's possible.
That's on the table.
But I'm just saying, you're not getting Stowers. You'd have to get him at pick 40. I don't think he's making it to your next pick. So, yes, could you get Jeremiah Love and then Eli Stowers at 40? That could be cool. But I think there's certain guys, like at pick 40, I'm literally looking for Omar Cooper Jr. right there to see if he falls.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
If he don't fall, now I'm starting to look at Gabe Akers. I'm starting to look at Zion Young. I'm starting to look at some of those guys like that, right? That's where I'm starting to look there a little bit. I'm not looking at corner or linebacker or those guys to maybe rounds 4, rounds 5 because they're so deep. And so you've got plenty of options here. You may even get like Lee Hunter from Texas Tech. He was kind of a loser at the combine this week.
Oh, for sure.
He was kind of a loser. He
looked
horrible. So what if he were to fall to pick 40? How crazy would that be? So I think that there's a lot of different ways you could go and this board could fall, and people could be completely happy with it. We've already talked about it. There's multi-billion ways this thing could fall. And so if you don't get Jeremiah Love at pick number 9, it's not the end of the world. Your draft's not over.
No, absolutely. There's so many different scenarios.
Would I love him at number 9? Absolutely. I'm on board with him.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be mad at that whatsoever. But there's going to be a lot of people when some of the scenarios that you brought up, a lot of people are going to be yelling, what about defensive line? What about defensive line? So because a lot of people, they're pulling for Peter Woods early. They're pulling
here's one thing that I'm assuming here, and that's why I didn't really mention that. I said that if you can't sign a running back, you get Jeremiah Love. Now, if you can't sign a running back,
of course,
because they're not there, I think you've spent your money at defensive tackle, defensive end. That's where I think your offseason money has went.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I think that if Jeremiah Love, Caleb Downs, or Reuben Bain are there at 9, that's probably what you're going to lean to. Shout out our boy Peter Ortiz in the house with the 10 bomb. Let's go. He says, appreciate the coverage, guys. Best out there. How about your top 10 running back ranking currently in the draft? If you are able, dance, boys, dance. Appreciate you, Peter. Thanks so much, brother. Thanks for the gas. Here's where I'm at. I think I'm sliding Mike Washington Jr. above Jonah Coleman, and that's just me. I know you probably won't do that, but I am. So I'm going to go with Jeremiah Love, Mike Washington Jr., Jonah Coleman. Or I'm not Jonah Coleman, Jadarian Price. I had them mixed up. I'll have Jadarian Price at 3. I'm going to have Jonah Coleman at 4. This is where it gets a little bit back and forth for me. Because I did have Emmett Johnson up this way, but I think he fell. I think after the combine, Mike, I would put McGowan maybe at 5. At the 5-6 range. I think you got your Katron Allen and even Nick Singleton, I think, could be in the top 10. Damon Claiborne could have snuck into the top 10 just off of his speed and gadget ability. Adam Randall from Clemson, monster. I think he could be in the conversation. And then rounding out at 10, I would say obviously you got Emmett Johnson in there still, but maybe I don't know. I don't really care for Jam Miller a whole lot from Alabama, but I think it could be argued. I mean, a 4.42 240, and he's a favorite for some teams looking for like a refined pro-ready guy, and obviously coming from a high pedigree program there in Alabama. So that's kind of where I'm at with it, Mike. What do you got?
Before the combine, I released this. I wanted to get this up here. You have to take Peter's comment off the board. Appreciate you, Peter. This is what I had pre. I had Love at 1, Coleman at 2, Price at 3, Emmett Johnson at 4, Katron at 5, Washington at 6, Jamari Taylor at 7, Singleton at 8, McGowan at 9, and Damon Claiborne at 10. So I pretty much named everybody you just named. This is how I had them pre-combine. If I had to shift them right now, Love is going to stay at 1, Coleman is going to stay at 2, Jadarian Price is probably going to stay at 3, and I'm going to move Mike Washington above Katron Allen, and I'm going to flip Washington and Emmett Johnson. That's probably what I'm going to do.
Okay.
If you wanted to put Katron above Mike Washington at 4 and put Washington at 5, I would also be okay with that too, because I think Katron Allen is going to be very much liked by a lot of NFL teams. So I would flip 4 and 6 right now. I'm not willing to drop Emmett Johnson completely down the board, but I do think he went from being like maybe late day 2, early day 3.
He's
So
definitely
now I
6
could
or
see
7
him,
now. Yeah.
yeah, I could see him fall into like round 4 now, and it wouldn't surprise me. Jamari Taylor for me, I think he lost a little bit yesterday, so I think I would swap him and McGowan right now and put McGowan at 7. I'll leave Nick Singleton at 8 because Nick Singleton, I want to see what he does at his pro day, because he's very athletic. But I want to see what he does at his pro day because he had a bad year in 2025. And I'm going to keep Damon Claiborne at number 10. I don't think it changes. I think he sneaks into the top 10 because of his gadget ability, and I do think he's super, super lethal with the ball in his hand. But I'm going to go ahead and leave him there above guys like, Adam Randall and people like that. That you just really
Adam
don't
Randall's
know.
a monster, brother. I mean, like it's really just, do you want a big back with that guy, because he's 232 pounds, dude. And he still ran a 4.540. So I mean,
but I don't think much changed for me. I think that you could start considering guys like Russell Faison from South Carolina. I thought he looked pretty smooth. If you wanted to have Robert Henry Jr. out of UTSA maybe crack that top 10, I wouldn't argue that much either. I would start to argue Jam Miller a little bit. I just don't think Jam Miller's that productive. And Adam Randall, if you're looking for like a King Henry type of guy mixed with Cordarrelle Patterson, well, there's your guy. But I just don't know if that's like – I rank a lot too, Steve, based – and you know this. I rank a lot based on how they would fit into the Chiefs and what the Chiefs would potentially do.
Right. Yep. Agreed. Our boy Fred in the house with the 2 bomb says, what about Mesidor? What about Akeem Mesidor, Mike? A lot of people talking about him maybe seeking to the back of the first round. I don't think it's out of the question. Someone also asked, would he be there at 40? Potentially, but probably not. Like, I think I'm leaning more towards him being gone by 40, but he might be there at 40.
Depending on his pro day, Steve, he could go. I would start looking at Mesidor. If he has, let's just assume he has a really good pro day. If he has a really good pro day, I could start looking at Mesidor around pick 20, and I think he's gone for sure by pick 45 to 50. So you're looking at 25 to 50 safely. You're starting to really zone into about 25 to like 40, somewhere in that range. So he could be there at 40. But I like him. He's older. We talked about this the other day. If you get him in the first round, if you picked him at the back end of the first round, think about it. You get 4 years and a 5th-year option. He'd be 30. So he's not even 30 yet. You can let him walk. You get the prime years out of Mesidor. He's already grown into his body. He knows all of his pass rush arsenal. He's not, you're getting him in his prime basically for 5 years on the cheap, and then he's going to go somewhere else and make a lot of money and decline a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Totally agree with you. I think that's a perfect kind of just outlook on Mesidor. I mean, to be quite honest about it.
He's a win now kind of guy. I think Mesidor can produce.
For sure. We got Adam in the house with the 2 bomb. Let's go, Adam. He says Love is not making it past number 8. Free agency is a must grab. Yeah, dude, I'm kind of with you. I don't think that Love's going to make it to 9, guys. I don't. Now, could Brett Veach get a hair up that ass and trade up to get him? Sure. Veach has been known to go up and get guys that he wants. If he wants them, I mean, look what he did with Xavier Worthy. He went up higher than we thought he needed to go to get Xavier Worthy. But maybe he didn't. You never really know. And obviously they have kind of more of the inside intel than we do, and what teams are wanting who and this and that. So you could see something like that, Adam, but I think I'm with you. I think that their number 1 priority here, a lot of people think Jeremiah Love's the number 1 priority. I don't think it is. I think Breece Hall is. Now, is he getting tagged? Did they tag him? I don't know if they did yet. I know they were talking about maybe tagging him.
They're talking about him.
So if he gets tagged, then that's one thing. But I think if Breece Hall comes out as a free agent, I think that's where they go. We know that Brett Veach wanted him. He tried to get him as a trade deadline. I think that's where they go. Same way where I think, hey, they showed that they were trying to get Boye Mafe at the trade deadline. So if he's a free agent, they're going to do the same thing to him. Because Brett Veach likes to go get the guys that he wants. And it doesn't matter how long it takes to get them. I mean, he sit on 2.5 to 3 years of getting D-Hop before he got D-Hop. He did the same thing with Kadarius Toney. He wanted Kadarius Toney, couldn't get him, went out and traded for him later. So when he sees a guy that he likes or he thinks it can contribute, I think he'll do that. Now, here's the thing, Adam, though. If he can't get an Etienne or a Breece Hall, I don't know if there's another running back in free agency that gives you what Jeremiah Love does. And I'm not saying that those two do, by the way, But I'm just saying they've proven themselves already. You know they're good. You know they're going to be good in our system. But like these other guys that are available that we've talked about, like Algier and a couple of the other guys, Mike, that we mentioned the other day, I think I'd almost rather have Jeremiah Love and just see what we can do with him because, I mean, he's a freak. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Free agency really, really is going to sway what the Chiefs do with this draft. It just is.
Yeah. Look, if you look at the top 10, you can make a case that if the Jets don't retain Breece Hall, they could possibly take Jeremiah Love at number 2. Would that be crazy? I think it would be, but they've got another pick. They've got pick 16.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to them.
So they could just take Love and say he's the best player on our board, and it would be fully justified. You get rid of Breece Hall and bring in Jeremiah Love.
Right.
The Cardinals, they're getting ready to release Kyler Murray. They need a running back. Like, they could take him at number 3. The Titans, they've got a running back with no ACLs. They could absolutely take him, right? The Commanders need a running back. The Commanders could take him and put more pieces around Jaden Daniels. We know the Saints want a running back. So we've named 5 out of the top 9 teams, or 5 out of the top 8 that could potentially take Jeremiah Love. And you're not even talking about guys like who you could have literally, you've got the Jets with 2. They could maybe take 16 and take who, like, what if they were to take like a pass rusher at number 2, take number 16 and package it and come back up and jump in front of us and take Jeremiah Love anyway?
Right.
So you've got to watch for people jumping in front of you as well. I think Dallas is off there now because Dallas signed what's his name in the offseason. So
Javonte.
Yeah, so that kind of takes maybe them out of play because they had 2 first-rounders that they could have moved. I think the Bengals and the Dolphins are fine as they sit. I think the Rams, I don't think the Rams would maybe want to move up for that, but who knows?
Yep.
So
a lot of people saying trade back, trade back, trade back. Fred with the 2 bomb saying trade back. I think that's a very likely scenario, guys.
Steve,
it very much could be.
4 players. Okay, 4 players that if they're sitting at number 9, you're taking them for sure. And if they're not at number 9, you're trading back. Give me 4 guys that you would absolutely take at number 9. Yeah, and if those 4 guys aren't on the board at 9, you're trading back. So you got a 50-50 shot here basically to get them at 9.
This is going to be pretty cookie cutter. I'll just tell you straight up. It's going to be Jeremiah Love, Caleb Downs,
yes,
Reuben Bain, and David Bailey.
Okay, so you're going to put Reuben Bain there. So if Reuben Bain's at number 9, you're not going to consider trading down. You're just pulling the trigger on Reuben Bain.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
I think he's a blue chipper. I think that's what like David Bailey's kind of on the border of blue chipper.
Right.
I think that Kenyon Sadiq's on the border of blue chipper. I would almost say if he's available, you got to think about it.
So if Mekhi Lemon's on the board at number 9, you're moving back though.
I'd trade back. Yeah, I'd trade back.
Yeah, I don't think Lemon's that vital. That
I don't think that Carnell Tate, I don't think Jordan Tyson, I don't think Mekhi Lemon, I don't think either of them are good enough or enough picks to take them at 9. I just don't.
You can make a case that Omar Cooper Jr. is just as good.
I'm kind of out on receiver in the first round, guys. I just am.
Unless you trade back.
Yeah, well, sure. Yeah, if you trade back and you can grab one of them guys later, then sure. Chief KT in the chat asking about David Montgomery. There's a lot of smoke about him wanting out of Detroit. The Chiefs could trade for him. I'll tell you what I think about David Montgomery. I think that he's a good running back. I think he can handle a pretty big workload. But I don't think David Montgomery moves the needle for us. I think if you got David Montgomery, we wouldn't run the football. I think the only reason the only way that we're going to get to running the football is if Andy Reid has an elite running back. We've seen it throughout history. He had to have LaShawn McCoy. He had to have Jamal Charles. He had to have rookie Kareem Hunt, who was out there setting records. Otherwise, he won't run the football. I think if you get David Montgomery, you're going to see more of that. I think if you get a Jeremiah Love, I think if you get a Breece Hall, or even an Etienne, I think he will run the football. I think he will definitely utilize those guys. I think there's a gap there, and that's what I've kind of figured out about Andy Reid. It's like Andy Reid don't like to run the ball. That's the main thing that everybody says when they think about Andy Reid. But when I look at the history of Andy Reid, he'll run the football if he's got a guy that he thinks is good enough. So, and I think that he's a high standard. So that's just where I'm at with it. What do you think about David Montgomery, Mike?
I don't think he offers me the explosiveness I'm wanting.
Right.
I think he did have, I think, 5 explosive runs last year, maybe 6. But if you really look at them, I think 3 out of those 5 were under 20 yards. So they were literally between 15 and 19 yards.
Right.
So I mean, when we gave Kareem Hunt extended carries in that one game, it was late in the fourth quarter. He popped one off for 20-some yards. So I think that's with any running back. If you just give them a lot of carries, eventually they're going to hit something.
Right.
I think that's the way running backs work in this league. It's hard for people to average 10, 12 yards a carry. Like it's just not going to happen. So I'm not the biggest fan of David Montgomery. I think we can do better.
Aaron Jones is a bit too old, man. I think a few years back that was a player that the Chiefs could have probably used because of the way he plays, but I just think
if there's an older guy in the league that you could maybe get for a late pick, in which I don't really want to give up a late pick in this draft, and I don't really want to give up a late pick in 2027 because 2027 is going to be a better draft than this year. So I don't really know how you could get him. But if there was an older kind of guy that I feel like could come in and do like a Jerick McKinnon role and be really good, because we need that if you're not sold on Brashard Smith, for me, would probably Alvin Kamara would be about the only guy I'd consider, just because I think he can do that.
If you were desperate, Austin Eckler. But
if you had to go off free agency, because I don't want to give up picks for nobody this year, and I definitely don't want to give up 27.
No,
picks.
But we need an elite feature back that can just take on a full workload and is explosive as hell. That's what we need. We need a guy that transcends the Andy won't run the ball.
Honestly, here's what I would love. I would call this a perfect offseason. I can't commit to the kid from Seattle, and I can't commit to Breece Hall, right? I can't commit to Walker or Hall because we don't know how that's going to play out.
Of course.
If I could get Travis Etienne, I'd take him in a heartbeat.
And I think they're with
And then that means now that you don't get Jeremiah Love, cool. You can give me David Bailey. You can give me, Reuben Bain. We can trade back if we have to.
Right.
But let's just say you could get Etienne. I'm taking that all day long, and I probably would take Etienne over Love because at least he's proven.
Yeah.
For the price. And he's not going to be, he may be
I don't know about, I think
31.5 guaranteed.
I understand exactly where you're coming from there, but that is kind of where it starts going into my head like, Jeremiah Love could be special.
I absolutely believe Jeremiah Love has better potential.
Yeah.
But you've seen Etienne be an absolute dog in this league, and you still don't know. Running backs are a very hit or miss position.
Right. Des, I would not trade up to get Jeremiah Love. If it was, it'd have to be like minimal.
No, I'm not trading.
I wouldn't go into the top 5. They would ask for way too much, and it's just not worth the return. But yeah, I mean, like I said, dude, if they're there at 9, those are the 4 guys. Those are the 4 guys.
We've got a lot of holes that we have to fill in this roster.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you're trading up, you've only got 6 picks right now. If you trade up, you're losing picks. So you got more holes to fill. And then how are you going to fill them? Free agency? We don't got a lot of money. So we've got to use most of these picks and hope that he hits.
Yep.
Hope you
absolutely.
Don't get
free
those,
agency. Free agency's huge this year, dude. We've been talking
hope you don't
about
run
it.
into like a Keandre Colburn moment or like the kid that we took that we had to cut because of his attitude.
Kamal Haddon or somebody.
Yeah. You don't want to hit that this year. These guys have got to make the roster.
Right. But I think it starts with free agency, and that's what's coming up first. That's what's going to dictate what we do in the draft and how we need to strategize for the draft. And we'll be doing coverage on free agency extensively. So that's coming up here real soon, guys. I think we got 10 days, something like that. So we'll be hitting free agency. So it's going to be very exciting. Appreciate you guys being here tonight. Do us a favor. Hit that like button on the way out if you haven't hit it already. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, what in the hell are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. Whether you're a Chiefs fan or not, you still want to be around for the football talk. So hit that subscribe button. Help us make our way towards 100K. Let's do that. Shout out Zarda Barbecue. Get over to Zarda. Go to Blue Springs area. Lenexa also has a location there. Grab yourself some food. I'm Noel Chief sent you. Shout out DraftKings for sponsoring tonight's live stream. If you don't have DraftKings, download it. Use that promo code ACU. That way they'll know that we sent you their way. But we'll catch you next time, guys, with much, much more content. We might have a live stream tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. We'll have the podcast coming out this week, and anything news related that comes up, Mike's going to pop in and talk to you. I know how he is, so y'all keep an eye out for it, and we appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time. Go Chiefs.
I'm rich.